Okay, so this is the second part of this lab exercise 1. Does acid rain affect rocks? And you can kind of see that, well, not a whole lot's gone on through there. What I would expect is that we would have a lot of just debris in the bottom and whatnot, but it looks fairly clear. You can see it. There might be a few spots in there. The same with this one. This is sample B, and I really don't see much going on through there. There was a lot of reaction to start with, but it's really pretty clean in there. Now this last one, this is sample C. You can see there's a bit of debris on the bottom. I'm going to try to move this so you guys can see this better. Let's see here and see if I can zoom in on that. Let's see if we can get. There you go. You can see that. There's the rock. There's a fair amount of particles in there compared to the other ones. So what does that lead you to think? Well, something broke those particles off, and it could have just been the action of the water. Or it's possible that, depending on the chemical makeup of this rock, there was some reaction with some of the minerals. The club soda, which we are using as an acid, reacted with some of those minerals and actually separated them from the larger rock. So that's an example of some chemical weathering going on there. Okay, so probably the most dramatic example of things happening was the change in water weight or rock weight by absorbing water was one, but this last one where we did freeze thaw, this is a different setup than you might remember. When I actually started this process, I had them all in beakers. Well, I kind of thought that might be a bad idea, but I went ahead and did it anyways. And what actually happened was, I'm going to go ahead and pull one of these out here really carefully. Here's the first one. Oh look, the rock didn't come up. What do I have here? I have a lovely beaker that I can use as a spyglass. It's got a hole in the bottom. There you go, there's a hole. So that didn't actually work too well. But you can see, as I move this around, they're still in the water here. This is the frozen water, so I had to modify it. You can see that there is some... You can actually see, though, that there is a little bit of material that's surrounding this beaker, or where the beaker was in the first rock. Here's sample A, and there's some debris around. Now it's not 100% sure that all the debris came from that rock, but I did keep them in their little beaker things while they thawed out. So well, rock A definitely had some stuff. I'll pick it up and take it out and see if there's any. Just plop it on its paper over here. I mean, it certainly seems to be mostly solid, and not a whole lot. So here's rock type beak, and the same thing. Oh look, that one's going to actually stay in there, stuck in the bottom of that. But quite a bit more debris here. Quite a bit more material came off after we've frozen thawed this thing 5 times. So that's quite a bit in this rock. Now, if I can. Without killing myself, there's a piece of the glass that wants to come off. I'm just going to lift this thing out and put it over here on its side. There we go. I picked it up and did it. Now again, if you remember, this has got a lot of layers in it. They're not as easy to see right now because the water's kind of glistening off of them, but there's quite a bit of layers in through there. Trying to find an angle that you can see it best. That might be the best through there. So a lot of those edges just broke right off, and you can see just even as I put it back in there, I can probably knock a few more off. Now this final one here, this is the best. This final one, see, look at that. You can see all kinds of stuff in there. There's just a ton of material if I can just hold it still. Let me try to move I think that's giving us too much reflection, but look at that. All that stuff just came right off of there when we froze it. And I'm going to try to grab this one and lift it up so you can kind of see. Oh, look at that. When I lifted it up, I couldn't even get it out of there. So now have a look at what's underneath, what's left. I've got one chunk in my hand that hasn't fallen apart, but we've got all that debris underneath. A ton of stuff is broken down. See if you can focus on it better. Here we go. Look at that, all kinds of stuff there. I'm going to try to pick it up again or move it out of the way. And you can see just how much material was broken apart on this one. So that rock again, and maybe not surprising because we did notice some of the other ones had some cracks in it, but definitely seems to be, and even more is breaking off there on my finger. See that? Just another chunk just fell off. So there's some on my finger there as well, just by picking it up. So obviously there's a difference in the way rocks, or how quickly rocks can break down under freezing and thawing conditions. But this is quite dramatic here. This is just five cycles. That would be in a winter. That might just be five times when the rock is wet, or wet enough to actually have moisture in it that can expand and actually put pressure against the rock itself and break it apart. So I think that one's quite dramatic, and definitely shows that freezing and thawing cycles have an effect on rocks, more so on some rocks than others.